So I don't know. It depends on how this rolls out. If Trump institutes a draft, then you're really going to be in a world of hurt. Now, they're working hard to get the digital control grid in place so that they can literally turn your money on and off if you don't do what you're told. And that's what we at Solari have been trying to stop. So we've been working with state legislators to pass legislation that stops money from being allowed to do those kinds of things within a state. And there are two things I think that everybody listening to this can do that are unbelievably important to do. The first is use cash. Do not let the system go all digital. Anything you can do to nurture and grow the analog in your life is good, because I love great digital systems, but I never want to go to an all digital world, because that's going to be a world of complete central control, and then you're going to be a slave. So if we had a revolution that just everybody used cash, I can't tell you what a huge difference it would make. It'd be wonderful. So use cash. The second thing is your state legislators, if you're in the United States, have the power to put guardrails up so that digital tokens and stablecoins can't be used to be an even more evil, vicious form of CBDC than CBDC. So and your state legislators can do that right now, and you want them to.
You've talked about how, in the end, ultimately, you don't think this control grid will work. It won't be. Do you think it'll be implemented? I mean, they'll try, but do you think ultimately it will be implemented?
So remember, they're in the phases of implementing it all around the world in many different ways. So if you go to Solari, we have a commentary called "It Was Jeffrey Epstein the Father of Programmable Money?" And in it we point to a wonderful Substack series. We recommend you read everything from January 30th, and it's the best description of how they've been implementing the control grid. Because Epstein was at the heart of prototyping, designing, and financing different pieces of developing it. And it's very. If you want to understand Epstein, you want to understand his role in helping to build the control grid. Anyway, so they're using many different aspects, and if they wanted to flip the switch and do a lot of it tomorrow, they could, but it would, they're not ready to make sure they have everybody in the corral when they do. They want to make sure they have all four sides of the corral up before they throw the switch.
But you think ultimately it will fail?
I think we'll fail, but I don't if you're sitting on the couch waiting to fail, you're making a huge mistake, because the chances of failure go up dramatically if we all start pushing back. And so pushback makes an enormous difference. The other thing is they could kill a lot of people before they fail. So
what are your thoughts on President Trump right now?
So President Trump does not have agency. He's not in charge. So now, he's doing what he's told, but look at what we're financing in Gaza. That's a Holocaust. So, Trump did that, Biden did that. They have a choice to not do it. There are many different reasons, or they'd show what's really in my Epstein file. Who knows? We have a country that's seriously poisoned. And it's seriously poisoned by bad food, bad water, bad air, but it's also poisoned by huge amount of addictions, drugs, alcohol, whatever. As a society, we can't afford that. So you're going to have to come clean. We have a great book at Solari. Come into Solari, and it's called Coming Clean, and it's about how to get the bad guys out of your head, out of your house, out of your life. Just come clean. And the more you come clean, the less you feed the tapeworm, then the less powerful the tapeworm gets. We're if you look at who's building the control grid, we're going to work in building the control grid. If you look at our 401ks, we're financing the control grid. If you look at whose media we're watching, we're supporting the control grid. We can stop. So I'll never forget, I had a wonderful friend who showed me the total sales for independent grocers for 6 months, and the number one item was $10 billion for carbonated drinks, and then it was like $2 billion for fresh fruits and vegetables. And I thought, look, if we just all took the money we're spending on the lottery, on online gambling, on drugs, on alcohol, and we spent that money on rebuilding the country, not a problem. And that's not Mr. Global making us do it. We're doing it. So,
yeah, people. There's people that feel like there's nothing they can do, and just what you just pointed out. It's the little things like that you control your own local sphere and make the impact. And you touched on the gambling, because you said addictions, and I was sitting next to a guy waiting for some friends to have lunch, and this guy was watching an NBA game, and I overheard him talking about all these prop bets he had, and he put it on his phone, and I just am thinking to myself, I'm like, I remember growing up, and you can only gamble in Nevada and New Jersey as a kid.
It's a control tool. The way you kill a group of people is you don't say, how are we going to kill these people? You say, how are we going to make money killing these people? Right? And that's what you do. You use gambling, you use porn. The big obstacle everybody's facing is neural warfare, because the way I get you addicted to all those things online is I'm using entrainment technology and subliminal programming and military-grade neural warfare to get you hooked.
The other thing that you said, I've heard you say in other interviews, which I want to ask you about, is Bitcoin and how the design of Bitcoin was a distraction, right? If I'm saying it wrong, correct me. But
so Bitcoin was a prototype to figure out how to do programmable money and build a control grid. And it's interesting because Epstein really was the father. he did a lot of the financing for the Rothschild network to get the prototypes going. So I just did another interview. There's a wonderful book on Bitcoin called Hijacking Bitcoin by Roger Ver and Steve Patterson. I just did another great interview with Steve Patterson and Aaron Day on the Solera Report about the reinvention of the financial markets. And, we haven't talked about what's coming, but it's a tsunami of, Bitcoin's nothing. If you look at what the plans are underway for stablecoins and digital tokens, it's going to be worse than derivatives. Really. It's unbelievable what they're planning.
Most people, they have no idea about any of this stuff.
So anything, just use cash. Get everybody using cash, okay? And I would check out Coming Clean on the Solera Report. You can download the PDF or you can buy a copy. And it's all about, think of this as like a detox. If you had a tapeworm, what you need to do is you need to detox the tapeworm. So detox the tapeworm out of your life in a way that makes you more powerful and weakens the tapeworm. That's it. And it's one person at a time. In America, there are 340 million people now, depending on whose count you believe. And, if 10% of us just did this, there'd be a revolution.
It's not even that high of a percentage, right? I mean,
you don't need a lot of people. You don't need a lot of people. You need 10% people showing, and as they get stronger and more powerful by doing it, others see it, and they say, wait, they're having more fun than I am. Maybe I ought to get the tapeworm out of my life too. That's what happened to me. I had this big red, target on my back, and yet I said, okay, I'm going to come clean, and I'm leaving the establishment because their plan won't work. I think this is all a failure. I want nothing to do with it. I'm going off the wilderness, and I'm going to see who I can find and what we can get done together. And I have to tell you, I have the most wonderful life. I travel around the world simply hanging out with, living with, associating with the most wonderful people in the world, who don't want to kill, don't want to steal, don't want to, they want to have a free and inspired life, and they want to help you have a free and inspired life, and they're wonderful. I think things are extremely fluid, and if I were the Iranians, I would hold out. And if I want to do the digital control grid, then I'm going to have to put boots on the ground. And they're shipping troops over there now, which is going to be a terrible, terrible thing. And if Trump institutes a draft, you're going to see America. Somebody told me the other day, I've got to jump, that the office, different people in the military, when they do their daily greeting, they've changed the word to Epstein.